Hi, I'm Amanda McKay. I'm a professional artist and I'm making these videos to give people tips to help them become the most creative versions of themselves. And these tips are appropriate for everybody regardless of your level of expertise. So even if you're just starting out with a new hobby, hopefully these tips will be useful to you. This tip you may have actually heard before. It's called the backwards completion principle. And what that means is to begin with the end in mind. And what that means is basically you think of the end result that you want, and then if it's difficult to figure out what the first step would be, what would be the penultimate step that would get you there? Now, this is probably something that you do in your daily life from time to time just automatically without thinking about it, maybe on a small scale. For example, if you think that, okay, I want to make spaghetti for dinner tonight, then you have to think, do you have the ingredients or do you need to go get the ingredients? And then that would be a little bit different from looking at what you already have in your fridge or your pantry and saying like, okay, I have these items, so I'm going to make this for dinner instead. So the backwards completion principle really is the most helpful, I think, if you have like a really large project or a project that has a lot of components to it. And I'll go ahead and tell you about a project that I'm working on right now that I expect is going to take me the entire year to complete. And I have had to use backwards completion principle for some of it. I'm predominantly an oil painter and I'm doing a series of paintings called Feral Feminism, and it's based on animal bones that I find in the woods and feathers and combining those. And the painting part, just to do a series of paintings, that's no problem. But what's different about this is I basically wanted to make a book out of this. A book and then maybe a digital download, and it would be a feral feminism field guide. So it would have these paintings that I'm working on, and then like a nature art journal to go along with it where I'm sketching different things that are related. But then I also want there to be text in it. And that's where I had to use backwards completion principle, because normally the only text that I have to write about a painting would be a statement about a painting or an entire series even, and I would just have that one thing to write. But I want this field guide to have more text to it, so to have 8 or 9 paintings and just have one statement for them, plus maybe a few notes about the materials used for each painting, that's not going to give me a lot of text. So this is where I had to use backwards completion principle and think about what I wanted this to actually be, what I'm trying to achieve with this field guide, and then that would help me come up with the text for it. So I know that I want this to be inspiring to people. I try to use what I call artistic alchemy to combine different items into paintings of still lifes, but then also I try to make it where I'm taking something that might be a traumatic subject and trying to elevate it so that it's somehow uplifting and healing for people to look at. So knowing this, and I want to have some of this in my field guide, I feel like I need to have some text that is going to be somewhat uplifting having to do with this. And I still don't know what that text is, but at least I know, okay, that's going to be one of the components that I'm going to write about, in addition to the artist statement about the paintings, and then probably some notes about whatever I wind up sketching out in nature. And then also, this is somewhat politically based, so I might have some actionable steps for forms of activism and combine and also put that in the field guide. And I haven't really ever done anything like this, and so that's where the backwards completion principle was extremely helpful. And now one other component to this that's not going to be included in the actual book is I'm going to be doing videos as I'm making this project. But unlike these creativity tips where every video is standalone, I want these videos about this project to work together as a cohesive story. And so that's something that I haven't done before. And so that's where I've been having to think about, well, where do I want to wind up with for this? And then kind of thinking backwards from there. And that's been helpful, coming up with how to put this all together as a cohesive story. So let me know in the comments if you've ever tried doing this with an artistic project. I think you might have noticed from what I've been talking about in this video that the places where I've had to use backwards completion principle are in the parts of this, the components of this project that I'm less familiar with. I didn't need backwards completion principle to come up with what I was going to use in the paintings, but as far as text and how to make the videos tell a story, that's where I needed the extra help because I was just less familiar with that. And then of course this is something that has a lot of different elements working together, and so that would also be a natural place that you would probably want to use backwards completion principle. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments, and again, my name is Amanda McKay, and thank you so much for watching.